All right. After some technical difficulties, I think we're ready to go. Tonight is November 17th, 2017. This is podcast number 63. This is the second time we're doing some of this, so we're going to try and run through it as quickly as we can. The big news for this week is what EA has been doing with their loot boxes and progression in Battlefront 2. I'm going to run through what happened this week, and then we'll discuss it. So up until this week, there's been a lot of discussion about...
Hey, Torn, mute your mic. There we go.
I muted him. There's been a lot of discussion about the progression system in Battlefront 2 and pay-to-win aspects and things like that. And it all sort of started to come to a head on Sunday when a user posted on the Star Wars Battlefront subreddit complaining that after spending $80 on the game, Darth Vader wasn't unlocked. And it takes upwards of 40 hours to unlock a hero. This is sort of the beginning of the events of the week. An EA community manager type employee posted under the username EA Community Team and responded to the thread. The quote within that is, the intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. And it goes on from there, but that's sort of the part of it that became a meme throughout the internet. You can still find it. And we'll probably be seeing that for a long time, I imagine. So if you ever see it, you know where it came from. But the whole thing was sort of ridiculous. And as of this morning, the response is negative 676,000 karma, which is absurd. Oh, and it was gilded 86 times, which I think is funny. You can pay $5 to gild a comment, and it pays Reddit, essentially. It doesn't pay... It gives the user a few special things, but it's nothing crazy. But people gilded it to be ironic, I guess.
Proving yet again that the people that are bitching and crying about spending extra money are willing to throw money away at nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the irony of it.
We're so pissed about throwing money away. Here, take more of my fucking money. I don't want that.
So clearly a lot of people were pissed off. Some of those down, or a lot of those down, probably half of those downvotes are people just jumping in to be part of history. It's by and far the most downvoted Reddit thread or Reddit comment of all time by triple or quadruple the amount. That user did end up getting some death threats and things like that, which I was afraid were going to be part of the news of the week. And a few places did pick it up, but it blew over pretty quickly. And other threads started popping up around this time, talking about 40 hours to unlock a single hero. Things like that. EA tried to stem the flow a little bit by reducing the cost of heroes by 75%, but somebody realized that while doing that, they also reduced the amount of credits that you earn each round. People also realized that there's a cooldown timer on earning credits. I forget who it was. I think it was Boogie who I saw a video of, where it actually said you have to wait 3 hours before you can earn credits again in arcade mode. Yeah. Terrible things, like awful. What else? EA didn't ask me anything in AMA yesterday, which, as you would expect, was heavily downvoted. Did not go well at all. It was a bunch of PR speak. Like, they weren't really answering questions.
Damage control.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole week has been damage control. This grew and grew, obviously. Yesterday, EA announced that they're going to be turning off all in-game purchases on Star Wars Battlefront 2 at launch. This was clearly interpreted... What was that?
Game's not even out.
It came out today. Okay. But it just said at launch, and they said that we're going to reevaluate it. So clearly, people interpreted that as being, we're turning it off now, so you'll buy our game, and then we'll just put the same exact system in after Christmas when everybody's already purchased it. US Gamer had an interview very recently. It was either late last night or early this morning. And their quote was, quote, however, this is only a temporary measure until EA can achieve what the company says is the, quote, right balance between those who want progress through gameplay and those who want what they call an accelerated experience.
They mean the threshold at which they can fuck people over.
Yeah. They're clearly trying to push the limit as much as they can on this. EA's stock is down 7% month to date. Through Thursday compared to the S&P's 500, which is up 0.4%. And here's another quote: "The escalation. I think this is from CNBC. CNBC. The escalation of EA concessions over the past month are a potential negative indicator of pre-game sales trends and overall unit confidence." And that quote comes from Bank of America Merrill Lynch analyst. Needless to say, EA seems to be pushing the boundaries too far, and people are backlashing. I was afraid when this first came out, people talking about it was like, people always complain about EA, but they're not going to do anything. But it seems to have done something. Whether people still buy the game in droves.
It sounds like
we'll
it
see.
pissed people off, is what it did.
Yeah, more than normal. Clearly more than normal.
I think it.
Well, how many death threats do they usually get? That's I think it was
That's
7.
the bar we should judge
This
this
guy
on.
got 7. So like maybe if they do something that only pisses a few 100,000 people off, then they only get like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Well, the honest thing is that this is just I don't. This is a whole bunch to do about nothing. I've just tried to search and see if they had any preliminaries on sale figures. Let's talk about this next Friday, and we can see how it actually has affected game sales.
I think it's worth keep coming back to every once in a while just to see what happened.
Well, not just that, but if the gaming community has shown me anything in general is that they will bitch, whine, moan, and complain, and then still buy the product anyway.
Well, I think part of the problem is that users who go on Reddit is a tiny fraction of the gaming public, especially around Christmas time when moms are buying it for their sons or daughters.
Yeah. But I guess I think this is a dog pile on Reddit. I don't think this is an actual feel of it. I think this is something that social media drove, and it got started, and then it basically just spread like a hot fire. Somebody posted it on Facebook, and then it just pretty much did the rounds there. And then everybody went to Reddit, made an account, and basically went, I'm going to yell at EA for doing this. And then it became, I think you're right, but at some point it became less about what the issue was and more about, I'm going to join in on the fun.
I'm going to be part of history.
Yeah.
I was there.
The great thing about social media is when bad things happen, they only get coverage for a short while, and then it's on to a new thing.
Well, it's not
so
even that.
They know they can weather this. They really do.
Well, it's not even that, but there's no such thing as bad publicity. The past 4 days, the past week, EA has been one of the top running stories online because of this. EA can't buy that type of publicity. Anybody that didn't know about Battlefront 2 coming out now knows about Battlefront 2 coming out. And a larger part of the community doesn't give a fuck that they don't have that an $80 special edition version that they didn't get fucking Darth Vader unlocked, because they're not going to buy that $80 collector's edition fucking version. They're going to buy the stock version, and they're going to work towards unlocking him anyway. So it's not a big deal. It's one of those things where it's just.
But are they going to get pissed off that it takes them 40 hours to unlock Darth Vader and then be like, fuck this?
I don't know, because I'm not 100% sure. It's one of those things where honestly, almost every game that you're playing right now has unlocks in it, where you're going to be putting time in to get said unlocks. Now, almost every other game that has the unlock system now also has the microtransaction system where you can spend money to get that shit up front.
The great thing is now it's going to start rubbing your nose in it. This guy has Darth Vader. This guy has Darth Vader.
Yeah, but what's the difference between that and saying somebody has a character like in League of Legends that you don't have that they spend money to get? Or what's the difference between, or any other game system like that where it's
League of Legends is free. You're not paying $60 to buy it.
No, you're not paying $60 to buy it.
It's a big difference.
You'll spend money to get stuff that you would have to generally put time into unlock.
And they did just change the way the game works.
Listen,
as you go level up to 30, they're actually making it easier to get champions now.
I'm not defending.
And a lot of games are just cosmetic, which I don't have a problem with.
I'm not defending the element of the game. I'm just saying that this is something that's commonplace in most games now. Generally speaking, I don't know if it's going to be affecting the most community. Like I said, all this right now means nothing. Let's see how much it actually affects sales. Let's give it a week, see what EA releases and says, because they have to right now, because their stock took such a hit in Wall Street. Their stocks tanked this week. They're going to have to come out and show numbers on what their sales are, and they're going to have to be relatively accurate. If EA comes out next Wednesday and goes, guess what? Everybody got pissed, but we still sold 100 million units. Nobody's going to get it.
That would be a lot of units.
Well, what I'm meaning is that it's just the aspect that if they meet their sales, or even if their sales are down only substantially, like a few percentage points, then it doesn't really matter. it's the community went, oh, we're mad, but here's my money, we want the game anyway. And it's a Star Wars game. Chances are a lot of people are probably going to do that. So it's just, we'll see. That's all I got to say right now. I mean, people bitch and cry on the internet all the fucking time. If one thing we've learned is that 90% of the time they bitch and complain, like Torrance said, in 48 hours, they don't even remember what they fucking wrote and they're on to something else.
Yeah, but death threats are a serious thing.
Yeah, don't do that.
We're not talking about that's not being a serious thing. You know?
No, yeah.
Just, it's pathetic in all reality. Especially for some guy that's just doing his job.
Yeah, he's paid to sit there and type what the execs, even the microtransactions. That's not, who is it? Dice? Did Dice make this game? I don't remember. That's not Dice. That's coming from somebody high up, being like,
that's what's EA.
Push the loot boxes.
But the other thing with that though too is just it's a joke, man. Like I said, this doesn't mean it doesn't mean much in the long run.
Well, yeah, if people think that
this one seems more serious than a lot of other ones.
If people think everybody at DICE are going to strike and protest at the loot boxes being put in, that's their job. Don't punish them for doing their job.
And then what we'll have is the same exact thing we see every 8 months with EA gets rid of another company. What do you fucking do? It's
if you've got a problem with it, stop buying the games.
Exactly. It's that simple. And as I said, that's why I say get back to the point. We'll see how this affects sales. If it didn't affect sales at all, EA is just going to go, it's typical consumers. They will cry and they bitch and they moan. They'll bitch and cry about little dinky things, and then they still come to the store with their $60 in hand ready to buy whatever we fucking put out there. So it goes back to what I've been saying for years now, which is if you don't like it, don't fucking buy it. And guess what? EA is going to change their goddamn tune real quick. They don't give a shit about you crying online. You just
man, if we could get even 50% of gamers to wait until it drops half price, that would change. That would change it big time.
If you want to do that, look at Doom last year. Doom did not sell well because of their horrible multiplayer beta on Steam. What was it? In like less than a month, it went down to 50% off.
Yeah, I got it on the winter sale for like $20, something like that. And it's a great game.
And I would say, but I mean that's a reaction of a company going, "Oh shit, we need to make our money back," and that's why they did that. So I mean, game companies will do the same thing, but it's the idea of trying to get the gaming community in general to actually stand up and back up their words. Anybody can go online and bitch and moan about anything. We see it all the fucking time. But when push comes to shove, nobody's got the balls to stand up and actually hold to their guns. So that's all it boils down to. Like I said, if next week or the next
it's a bigger problem than just that though.
And I'm not talking down like 5 or 10%. I'm talking like 50% below what they expect. Watch how quickly EA drops it and gives everything away for free. They try to get back the community because the game is going to be DOA on release and they're never going to reclaim. But if they're only down a little teeny bit from sales, EA ain't gonna fucking change a thing. Because why? People bitched and cried and they still bought it, and there's no reason for them to adapt or change. And it like Torrance said, 48 hours, 96 hours, it's gonna be something else that everybody's gonna be crying and bitching about online, and they ain't gonna fucking remember this little fucking hiccup before release. So it's a crap. It's a nothing. It really is. The only thing that makes it anything is because it got some coverage about it. It was set records on Reddit. Who gives a shit? I'd like to see if it's the same thing with that Call of Duty back in the day, where the 600 some odd thousand people that downvoted that post, how many of them actually ended up buying the game?
Yeah, I know.
So that would be my better.
And that's what happens every single time. But this one seems more legit than it has in the past. I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens in the coming weeks.
Okay, so we'll see when sales numbers come out.
Yeah,
that'll be the tell of the tale. That'll let you know whether or not this is actually something that affected EA, or if it was just a little temper tantrum and then they went and played it anyway. So we'll see.
That one thing from Merrill Lynch did pique my interest, where they were saying maybe that they're trying to acquiesce to these complaints because pre-sales are down so much. That would be interesting if it were true. And maybe it'll be a trend. I don't know. I'm curious. I know a lot of people. Oh, and that's the other thing I forgot to mention. People started calling to cancel their pre-orders. Oh no, they didn't know. They started by canceling their pre-orders, and then EA removed the button to cancel your pre-order, so you had to call to do it, and you had to wait in line on the phone because obviously the lines were clogged
Now, see, that's
to
something
cancel your pre-order.
see, that's something that's interesting to me. And I mean, they're going to use the idea that there were so many people trying to do it, it was crashing their servers, and they needed to try to optimize the system or blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
yeah.
all that. But that's something that you could probably get the BBC into, the Better Business Bureau, or the Triple B, because that in itself is something that's a little
Triple B.
that's a little bit of a issue. You know what I mean? Especially if it hasn't been charged yet. Within most cases on pre-orders, you're not charged till day of release anyway. So, but yeah, that's something that I think that had, to me, that's a little bit more serious than anything else. But
Yeah.
like I said, that doesn't, so you don't get the pre-order. Like I said, let's see what happens. You know, you got this was going to be the big Star Wars coming out, and Smokin said something there too. Straight, this is Disney's
Yeah.
cash cow. All right, so Disney might really turn the screws on them and go, listen, we can't do that. But on the exact other hand, we've seen for years, but I'm not going to bash the community too bad here, but we've seen for years with Star Wars where George Lucas would re-release the same fucking movie, minutes of additional footage that was like credits,
Yeah.
and they would bitch and cry about it, then buy it anyway.
Yeah.
So I think Disney doesn't give a fuck as much because Disney knows they're going to make their money on it in the long run, and even if they don't, who gives a shit? And there's always the next Star Wars game, and we're less than a month away from the next Star Wars movie.
The movie.
Any money they lose in this venture with EA, they're going to make tenfold over in the next release of the movie.
Well, some people were saying maybe we should turn the screws on Disney, and maybe they'll take Star Wars away from EA, which is such a long shot. It's not even because they just pay Disney and say, all right, we'll pay you X numbers of dollars.
And EA is not stupid. EA has a contract, which basically probably says it. Let's face it. The reason why EA is the only company making NFL football games.
The next 27 Star Wars games are guaranteed to EA.
Yeah, they paid the NFL to not allow 2K games to make football games anymore.
Yeah, they bought out the rights to the NFL.
Yeah, they're the sole people that are allowed
Nobody
to do
else
it.
can make licensed NFL games. That's why everything you see that's anything football, it's always make believe story, and it'll be the same like cities and towns, but it will be completely make up name and everything like that.
Yeah.
It kills nobody wants to play that, so. But like I said,
I don't have a problem with that. You can make up cool names. I don't have to play.
Even if this game fails miserably, you got to realize that they're not building these games for long term to stand on for long periods of time. They're building these games to run for 6 months and then have something else out by next year this time. So they'll just count it as a wash and then find something else to release. And they know, like I said, that it's Star Wars. People are going to buy it.
Yeah, and they're not aiming the loot boxes at us. They're aiming the loot boxes at the whales. There's we've talked about this before, where like some people have said 2% of the population pays for like 90% of the loot boxes. Some people pay like $10,000 in loot boxes, like insane amounts of money. So if that's the case, they don't care if we're buying the game or not at the end of the day.
No, because they know the hardcore players are going to get on, and they're going to. Like I said, they don't really care. It's not a question of the only thing that hurts them is you could probably make the argument that pre-sales help with the pre-sales probably are directly related to their stocks because it's what they're basically using as a
and they
forecast.
probably can use it as a metric for how many games they're going to sell. There's got to they do a ton of analysis, so they probably know we have this many pre-sales, we're expecting this many of regular sales.
Exactly, and that's something they could take to Wall Street and get to the speculators and go, we know that in November we're going to have this brand new game coming out. We're going to be selling X amount of units, which is going to push our stock up. That's one of the reasons why you've probably seen their stock drop, because everybody that had invested money in EA thinking that they're going to be cleaning up for the holidays is running the fuck away, which is a benefit for the people that are going to stay if the game's still successful, because that means their stock's going to be worth, technically, it could be worth more in a few weeks or something. Anybody that's playing stocks like that is kind of stupid. You're not really supposed to be trying to run the short haul on that shit.
I think you're kind of
a very bold choice.
I don't think you're being. Stocks are a really big deal. They get traded in trillions of a second. It's a big deal when a company loses anything.
I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is long-term versus short-term in stock, and that's getting into a completely off-game subject. But I'm just saying that it's one of those things where the people that ditched out this week are people that are thinking this is going to have a bigger effect. I'd be willing to bet they're not really knowledgeable on the way these gaming companies do business.
But even if it doesn't have an effect, it's gonna piss enough people off where it's gonna start a change. If people want change, it'll be another nail in the coffin
Financially,
eventually.
you're 100% right. But like I said, this all depends on whether the game sells or not. If next week it comes out that the game's still sold, everybody's going to throw their money right back into EA, and now they're not going to fucking run from it because they realize that if EA shits on their customers, people still buy to go give me more.
It bugs me that technology has come so far, and it's come so far down, especially so far down in price, and there's still just it's a huge cash cow. They have to get so much money out of a product for it to be worth doing that it's.
Well, what makes me laugh about it most is that the old back in the day aspect was the reason why the games cost so much is because of the amount of money it took to actually produce like not necessarily produce the game, but like the physical copy. The aspect of doing the box, the instruction manual, the actual disc or the cartridge or whatever it was, and that was where the large portion of the actual cost was. And now they have none of that. It's all digital download, and yet the price continues to go up. And you'd think it would be the exact opposite, but like I said, it all boils down to one thing. The reason the prices are where they're at right now is because the consumer said they're willing to pay for it. If the consumer stopped paying for it, they would change their tune really, really fast. And that's one of the things that I hope, I knock on wood, I hope to God that this is a turning point in gaming, because EA gets burned and they lose a shit ton of money on this. It's going to make the industry take a look and pay attention really closely. And the reason they're going to look at that is that if they fuck with, if they've obviously crossed the line in some aspect or another, which, like I said, doesn't make any sense, because we were here talking about virtually the same exact thing like 8 months ago with For Honor from Ubisoft.
Yep.
Where it was like you needed to spend like 800 hours to unlock everything in the game.
And the game didn't sell very well.
And the game didn't sell very well, but it still sold well enough to where Ubisoft was just like, meh, it didn't hurt them. I mean, I don't know. A paper cut. It has to be a physical body chop. I mean, it's got to be something that literally just hits their bottom line and makes the game completely unprofitable.
I don't think we're going to see a For Honor 2.
I don't think so either. But that's
Star Wars is too big to say we're not going to see a Battlefront 3.
But let's look at this story. Let's think about this though. People were completely pissed off about the first Battlefront and all the shit they fucked up in the first Battlefront. No single player. The game was extremely linear. There wasn't really much thing, a lot of stuff with it. And yet they still probably had a huge support for pre-sales when they first announced this. So it really doesn't matter how bad the last title is if you say, hey, we've corrected the mistakes we had in the last one. Hey, look, single player, and people run into it. I mean, literally, what are we arguing about, or what is this whole situation that you can't get Darth Vader on fucking the original DLC?
No, it's that.
How many fucking people really are going to?
No, I don't think it's. No, it's more than that. It's that you have a huge advantage if you're able to buy loot boxes, because you can get things that make you kill other people faster. Your ships last or are tankier.
Yeah, it's not just cosmetics.
Yeah, it's not just cosmetic stuff. Like there's actual in-game advantages for buying loot boxes.
Aspect for buying loot boxes.
Yeah, there's an advantage to doing it.
And like I said, let's see what happened with sales. Let's see if this is something that's actually going to be a thorn in EA's side, or if next week they're going to go, it's 5% down. We'll make that up over the next few weeks.
Dude, where's your proverbial line? At what point do you go, okay, that's enough for shit?
What do you mean that's enough for?
He's not buying the game.
I'm not buying the game.
It's crossed the line already.
I'm not.
We can't hear you.
You're like, this is just how the gaming industry is now. At what point do you go, no.
I cannot get mad at EA for doing what a company's doing when they have no reason not to do it. If I was in EA's shoes right now, the only thing that would make me remotely change my business strategy is if next week I realized I fucked up so bad that I'm not making any money off this game. That's the only thing that'll do it. I don't give a shit if people have negative reviews and they buy the game anyway, because once they pay me that $60, it doesn't fucking matter whether they play it for next 6 months or 24 fucking hours. I got their money. I don't give a shit. You know, that's what it boils down to. And it's, as a consumer, you can sit here and go, I really don't like this. And you have every right to say you don't like it.
You
If
make me
buy
feel
it,
greasy inside.
The player base does make a difference, though. If, let's say, you sell a lot of copies in the first week, if nobody's playing it by week 2, you're not going to sell week 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
yeah,
to
but
people.
the thing, but see, you're right, Bone. But the thing with it is you got to look at it from like a business standpoint. The initial purchase is the only guaranteed money you have. And if they buy like the season pass, that's just basically going, we're knowing that person's going to get the all the DLC that, or some of, or all of the DLC, because a lot of times those season passes are like,
Yeah.
we'll give you 2 things, and you're still going to have to pay for the rest.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter if they buy the DLC now. They still got the majority of their money up front. If you play it one time and never play it again, it doesn't hurt their feelings. And if you paid for it, you're not getting what you need out of it. You know what I mean? We're not talking about like a business like a car manufacturer or something where it's like you get the car and the wheels fall off of it and then they have really serious issues. You know, this is one of the things where you buy it, and if you just play it once, you still bought it. You can turn it back and go lemon law.
Clearly not, because they want you to buy loot boxes.
Well, that's all icing on the cake.
Yeah, and again, it's the whales that are doing the work anyways.
Yeah,
The
and
whales are buying all the loot boxes. Everybody else is buying 2 or whatever.
Yeah, like I said, I'll grant you that. And like I said, it's probably still statistically smaller portions pay more, but I guarantee the community still pays in their fair share. But
It may be like 20%, something like that would be my
It's like-
guess.
it's if you sell DLC, and this is the thing. Say they do release the game, and say the game fails miserably, and like what was it? What was that one game that came out during Overwatch? Whatever the fuck it was, the one that like died.
Battleborn.
Battleborn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, for a company like that might have been like a nail in the coffin. For EA, they don't really fucking care. They got FIFA, they got Madden, they got 500 other titles that they can fucking run with that ain't gonna hurt them. You know, in 3 months, if the Battlefront has like 60 fucking players left, you know what they do? They cancel all future DLC that they thought they were going to release because there's obviously no demand, and then they put the money into the next project they're going to do and start from scratch. So a DLC doesn't mean shit for them in the long run. That's just basically finance. It's you know, a steady paycheck for them, for people that are paying for games.
I'm not a fan of business practices. Just saying.
We know.
Buy the game.
Yeah, don't stop buying from EA, people.
Don't bitch online.
Other than The Sims, you're still allowed to buy The Sims.
Yeah,
I'm
because
not buying COD. I'm
and
not
I
buying.
know this for a fact because I know she's a Sim player. Remember back in the day when you got The Sims and you got all kinds of content for free? Now it's you get The Sims in hyphen, and then you buy everything that you would have.
You get a lot of content in just the base game. You do.
It's Sim with S in
The
parentheses. The second S in
add-ons?
parentheses.
Like the most recent add-on is dogs and cats. So like
They couldn't put those in the
and
game.
it's like I've looked at it. We didn't buy dogs and cats. I'm not buying expansions for The Sims. But if you actually look at what you get, it's pretty extensive what you can do with the dogs and cats in designing them and using them. And so that's an expansion. That's different than you pay for the
But
base game. You're getting a base game. You're getting a full
different. No, the base game, the way, if you look at The Sims, because I played all of them. I have not played Sims 4 yet, but I've played Sims, the first one, 2, and 3. And the amount of stuff that you get from the base game back in the day is significantly more than what you get. It's progressively gotten worse, and it's gotten less and less and less. There's more stuff you can do here and there, but the actual amount of objects has gotten significantly less.
Oh, for decorating and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know enough about that. But I know that, like, as far as gameplay wise, other than that, it's still a full game.
If you played, I don't know.
You
if
still
you
have
guys
your
ever
normal
did the
go to
first-
It's
work.
weird because what
The
we're really
first-
talking
I played
about
the first
is
one.
like outside of video games, what we're talking about here is planned obsolescence. Like that light bulb's got to go out within a certain amount of time for them to make more money on another light bulb. This is a game that's breaking, sort of, and then they're having you pay to get a new one or like flip it back on, basically,
Kind
or
of.
improve it, or
It
Yeah.
is to a point. I mean, but it's the idea that they could sell it to you up front, and then they're not going to get any profit from you until they quote unquote leave it. Remember old school expansion packs when they would actually give you content for a cheaper price.
Well, that's what the Sims things are. They are expansion
Yeah.
packs.
But it's they now do it through the loot box system because they know that people will spend money weekly. So that's just profit
And it's
weekly.
pay to win at this some of these things. Some
Well,
of these
yeah,
are definitely pay to
But
win.
even if like I said, I usually defend, and I still do defend cosmetic stuff because if you want to buy it, go ahead. Who gives a shit? But even then, that's weekly pay. I mean, if they're selling 100 freaking outfits for $10 a month, I mean that's $1,000 profit a week on something that they're generally not making any money off of. And if
Mhm.
that's the way that's working 6 months after release, fuck, dude, that's fantastic. So I mean, like I said,
Consumer, we're the problem. We're the problem.
consumer wars. I just that's
If we were happy with a few things instead of a million things, we would be fine.
well.
They couldn't monetize 10 suits. They have to
We're
monetize.
getting pretty out there on this conversation.
There's some basis on the aspect that it's I kind of directed it in a different way, but it still boils down to the fact that it all depends on whether or not EA actually makes money. If a physical body blow to EA, it really I'm not like I said, it's got to be something like sales are down 50% from what they were expecting. I'm talking like major hit.
Well, 50% could make a difference.
If it's I'm saying that's a major hit.
Yeah, yeah.
If it's something
Well,
like
see what
that,
they're afraid of.
that.
They're not afraid of their game taking a hit. They're afraid of loot boxes taking a hit. That's what they're trying to save here. They're not
They,
trying to
they
save.
need they need to sell enough
we've already
games.
proven that they'll be fine. They're gonna get get through
Well,
this fine on the
They need
game.
to
part.
sell enough games to where the whales are buying the game. That's what they need.
They also have to sell enough games to realize that the whales aren't going to throw money at the game if the game is dead after 2 weeks.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, that's the Battleborn aspect. It doesn't matter if you have people that are spending a shit ton of money in the first week, and after 2 weeks, the game's no longer playing. Evolve,
Like you said, as Star Wars, people are gonna buy it.
Evolve had the huge deal, DLC customization, put money into the game to get stuff, and the game did not sell, and the game did not. And within like 2 weeks, there was like 60 people left playing it on fucking Steam.
Yeah, it was nothing. Yeah.
Okay, and all the planning in the world don't mean shit if you don't have a player base.
Yeah.
Like I said, you have to put them to the point where you're completely ruining the finances of the game. And I'm not talking like buying the game and then not playing it. If they make their money up front, if they somewhere in EA in the back offices and accounting, they have a number written down on a fucking steno notebook that says if we sell X amount of copies at release, we've made our money. It doesn't fucking matter. All right, you have to kill that fucking projection to the point where it hurts them. And then they realize that nothing's going to function afterwards. The whales aren't going to be putting money into the game 3 weeks after release because there's no reason to put it because there's nobody playing the game. They can't get into a game. Servers aren't populating. There's 3 people playing at any given time. That's the way that it physically hurts them, and it doesn't just make them. It hurts them because you see that happen. EA will overnight completely redo the system with a few keystrokes and fix it. And then they may not even fix the aspect of DLC down the line, but they're sure as hell going to make it where they're going to try to get people to come out and buy it to get their asses back in the chair and play.
Was this the one where they said there wasn't gonna be DLC because they're paying for it through the loot boxes essentially? I think they might have been saying that. I don't remember. But I think that might have been. Anyways, this has sort of run its course. I'm excited to see what happens with sales though. I want to know. I want to know what happens. Yeah.
That's going to be the telling tale. That's going to be what tells us everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an exciting one, I think, because it's gotten more traction than any other quote boycott that I've ever seen.
I'm not
by far.
Special.
I've always been disappointed in the past, and I'm sure we will again.
The amount of vitriol and the amount of like banner waving we saw with the Call of Duty back in the day, where you had like, I mean, think about how much that was something that was a major boycott. That was something.
Was it though?
Yeah, it really, really was.
It was only in the PC community though, because they took away dedicated servers. The Xbox and PlayStation users didn't give a shit.
But I'm saying, yeah, but you could say the same exact thing on consoles right now. PC might be the reason why they're really pissed off. Consoles may not be affected by these sales at all.
I think everybody's pissed off.
Let's also point out the fact that you made a good point with the idea that this is a game 2 months before, a month before Christmas. There's going to be a lot of people buying that game for their grandkids and so forth and so on. So we may not even be looking at another month down the line. We may want to really start paying attention to what's going to happen after Christmas because EA might not even worry about this until after Christmas.
Yeah.
They might go, we've sold a lot of games, and even if the players aren't...
Well, look, the average grandparents buying this for their kid doesn't know anything about what we're talking
exactly.
about.
Yeah.
And you know what? The person that's going to be getting it for Christmas that might be on Reddit complaining about it, when they open up that Christmas present on December 25th, they're going to go, "Well, I didn't buy it. I'm going to fucking play it." So, and then a week later, going to be going, "Mommy, can I have $10 to buy that loot crate so I can see if I can
Yeah.
get it later?" So, I mean, it's yet again, it's like we might not even hear anything about this until the end of the new year.
Maybe it's a generational thing. Like baby boomers are willing to take a $150 Keurig machine out and beat it to death with a mallet. So maybe millennials just don't give a shit. Maybe that's what it is.
You're right.
That's a good point. We may have to. This might be really interesting, just from a study point, where we might see a release and then a drop in players, and then on the 25th and 26th and 27th of December, see a massive upswing.
Yeah, that's for any game, really. I mean,
Yeah, but I'm just saying that might be something where it's like they might go, "Oh, this might hurt him," and EA might just be sitting there going,
we'll see. We'll wait. Yeah.
Wait for there we go.
And you can watch the sales come in anyways through November and December.
I think they're gonna keep picking at the consumer's ear until they find an amount of hours where the consumer won't feel getting like 35 hours, 30 hours to unlock it. They'll just lower the amount of time slightly. They'll find something that, still guarantees they'll get a certain amount of loot box purchases out of it.
It's still one of those things where it's like it automatically if people buy it or not.
Yeah.
'Cause if
I think we've run our course on this one.
people don't buy it, then we'll see some changes. If people buy it, it's all one of those things where it's right now you really don't have everybody going and crying about, well, he didn't get Darth Vader for $80. All right, and there's going to be a good, just statistically speaking, there's going to be a good percentage of people that the day after they buy it, their first like in-game unlock, they're going to get Darth Vader, and they're going to go, "Why is that guy bitching and crying? I got him like, right away. This guy's a fucking moron." I'm going to go on Reddit and say he's a fucking moron. I got him in like. And how are you bashing on such a good game? Wait until we'll see that this weekend. I guarantee you're going to see people going, "I had no problem unlocking it," because you know what EA is going to do? EA is going to go in there and go, "Darth Vader, 80% chance of unlocking on third loot crate," and they'll increase the chances, and now everybody's going to get him, and then next Monday everybody's going to go, "I don't know why this guy's bitching and crying. He got the game too early and cried too soon."
Yeah, they'll find something that works. They will.
And that'll fix it right there. A lot of people are going to go, "The guy was bitching about nothing."
Or EA will just make some sock puppet accounts and say that.
Well, I mean, why would they need to do that when they could easily just go on there and up the drop rates? You know what I mean? Make them an extremely common drop, and then that would solve that problem really, really quick. And as word of mouth gets around, they'll go, "Oh, well, I'll get on there and do it, and then I'll be fine."
I think you're right. I think this is going to be turned off till after Christmas, and then
they'll turn it back on. They want to make their money.
Find a way to do it.
Yeah. What was I going to say? One last thing. I don't know. Let's move on. We'll run through these last few things quick so we can play some games. There's a Hitman series in the works at Hulu from the John Wick creator Derek Kolstad. And here's my favorite quote is, "The hope is for Hitman to become a flagship series." Now, Hitman is a thing that has not done well in the movies. I've seen them. None of them were great. But a TV series could be interesting. If they make it a little darker, it could work, I think. A Hitman, it's a dude running around killing people. Every episode he kills a guy. I think it could work. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
I did not like the last Hitman movie.
Yeah, they weren't horrible. They were not good. But they
They're
weren't,
video
Yeah, it's a video game movie. There's a Minecraft movie coming out. Did you know that? The guy, the guy that plays Mac.
Another one?
I think the guy that plays Mac on Always Sunny in Philadelphia is directing it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
there's
that.
It's going to be Minecraft through the eyes of an acid trip. Okay.
Yeah. And speaking of Minecraft, those Minecraft freaks out there will be able to watch a live stream this year's Minecon. I think it's on this Saturday, right at noon.
Yes.
Noon Eastern
Noon
time.
Eastern.
Noon Eastern, the only time that matters. And 9 a.m. Pacific time.
I noticed you changed that.
Torm posted it originally in Pacific time.
Not 9 Pacific. He changed it to 12 Eastern in the news.
It's 9 Pacific for those weirdos. The broadcast will be about 90 minutes and will feature upcoming news, showcasing top builders. and they will be discussing the new mob addition to the game. Do you know anything about the new mobs?
There are 3 possible new mobs. I can't remember all the features
It's
about
like
them.
being
One of them-
voted on or something, right?
Yes, one is a really deep one that goes deeper than anything else, and it pulls itself around by this like long tongue that comes out. It pulls the rest of it with it.
Weird.
It'll be the lowest ocean-dwelling mob there is. It'll be down at the bottom of Bottom Dweller. Another one is like kind of like what are the sea swimming ones that look like
Octopus?
what's the thing that killed Jeff Irwin or Steve Irwin?
Stingray.
Yeah, they look like a stingray, but they fly in the sky. And if you're AFK, like high up, and just sitting there not moving, they will hunt you when they get within a certain chunk. They will come looking for you, just standing there not doing anything, AFK. I think
Weird.
that's cool as hell. That's the one I'm voting for. Because I've watched tons of videos like people post on YouTube about Minecraft, and a lot of it's AFK this, AFK that, and all I could think was, yeah, go ahead, give it a go. I mean, people just build glass huts around themselves or whatever
Yeah.
to AFK, but
So
I
just
like
brings
it to be able to
blocks.
eat through anything short of obsidian. You know, let it just crash right through it and just get you
Yeah.
if you're AFK.
Short of anything obsidian.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. The FCC has scheduled a vote again for ending net neutrality set for December 14th. So don't forget to write your senators, representatives, and the FCC itself. It does make a difference. This is an important thing, everybody.
People don't do something, they're not going to like the fallout. They're really
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, even if you don't understand what it is, look it up and find out what net neutrality is. It's important. This is my favorite piece of news other than the EA stuff. This year's worst title game, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, or PUBG, has been nominated for, I think it's Golden Joystick Awards Game of the Year. Now, this is a game that isn't even finished yet. It's not. It's still in beta or alpha. Yes.
Let me let you in a little secret. It's never gonna be finished.
True. And it's an award which the developers said they don't deserve to win. So I thought that was funny that they even got... And games like Divinity, Original Sin 2, was not nominated. That is an amazing game, for those of you who have not played it. Zelda Breath of the Wild ended up winning the Ultimate Game of the Year. PUBG won PC Game of the Year and also won Multiplayer Game of the Year. Again, Divinity wasn't even nominated for
Why are
PC
you giving a Game of the Year award to a game that's not even out yet? That's like when they gave Chelsea Clinton a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah.
What?
at 30 something years old. Yeah.
Hey, come on, you got to be special to like immediately get out of college and get like an 8-figure fucking paycheck from a company you don't do anything
She's
for.
an attorney, right, or something?
No, she's not.
She's something. I think she's an attorney, or
No,
maybe
she's
maybe her husband's an attorney.
Her husband is an attorney. She is
Yeah.
not.
I don't remember what she does. But
Her
yeah.
husband is like a stock. Well, he's either an attorney or a stock broker. You know, something along those lines. But it's she's a consultant for like NBC or ABC.
Okay, I was just
journalist.
making a joke. I wasn't trying to start a conversation about Chelsea Clinton.
Whenever I hear the name Chelsea Clinton, I think about the outtakes for Rush Hour. You ever seen that?
No.
What's his name? Can't remember how to say Chelsea Clinton's name. Chris. What's his name? Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker.
He can't remember how to say Chelsea Clinton's name. It's funny. So that's all I have. Did I miss anything else, Tor, that was important? Valve's new CS:GO matchmaking system considers your overall behavior on Steam.
Really?
Did you know much about this, Tor? Did you read the article?
I did not.
Oh my gosh!
I did news this morning at about 3:45.
The new system takes a more holistic approach to connecting players than Prime by taking into account a much wider range of factors, including some drawn from outside of CS:GO. So I guess that's for player behavior, not player skill. I know that they put toxic players in the same groups. I think Dota 2 did that as well. If you were
That'd be so excellent though. You get all the toxic players in
Yeah.
the group. They just hate each other.
if you got marked as a toxic player, you got stuck into groups with toxic players, which is hilarious.
That is horrible.
That is so excellent. That's so
I
excellent.
think it's
That's
great.
Get what comes around goes around.
Apparently,
That's one of the things where they really should do that and then literally like live stream the toxic games.
Oh, that would be
Just
so.
you can watch like it's 3 minutes into the match and there's 8 people AFKing because quote the team sucks dick.
Six people have been swatted.
yeah.
That would be fun just to watch, just to have color commentators, you know, like giving play-by-play on everybody's action about, you know, top lane is currently just feeding, you know, just literally running right into the turret. Just
Yeah, you can see the vein popping out on Steve's forehead on that one.
one player is sitting back at spawn, cussing out the rest of the team. Yeah.
Yeah. The Russian Ministry of Defense used a image from a video game to try and say they had irrefutable evidence of cooperation between U.S. troops and ISIS. Which is hilarious.
What was the game?
Some random mobile game. It wasn't even a PC
it was like
game.
wasn't it like a
It was a screenshot from a trailer.
AC 130 gunship?
It was one of the Call of Duty missions where you were doing where you were controlling like a dropship.
This
The
says
AC 130.
this
Yeah.
says it turned out to be a screenshot from a trailer for a mobile game.
Which is
Yeah, I think the game was like an AC 130 gunship game.
it was doing your standard NVG night vision.
Yeah,
Overhead top shit. Yeah,
Yeah, you're in the
Down looking FLIR.
the C-130 or whatever those are.
The question
The
I would
Hercules.
ask is how many of the news companies in America are willing to run with that? Then
It'd be,
So-
I didn't check, but I'm sure several did.
I'm sure there was some that were almost about ready to hit publish. You know, and it's just like Tim, the intern, who got the coffee, walked in at the perfect time and said, "Hey, that looks like that game."
I hadn't had coffee yet that morning.
Yeah, it's just I'm curious how many companies were really getting ready to run with that before they got caught.
Yeah.
How many had to quickly go in there and hit like delete.
Yeah.
So,
They had to
That's-
copy and paste a public apology in.
That's all I got. Anything else that happened this week?
I don't think so.
Okay. Do we want to watch the Deadpool trailer when we come back?
might as
Sure.
well.
And then that's really the only trailer we got this week. It's funny.
Oh, come on.
It's only a few minutes. So we'll be back in like 30 seconds. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment. And we do this on Twitch every Friday night at 8 Eastern time. We'll be back in a few minutes.